Good evening. The very famous Tibetan master Kongtang Tembe Dome, in one of his teaching that he wrote in the versified form, says, Ne korwe dunge yodocho ta dangzin dunji jebena te tungne jebe tabzula putando yonje bebarik ta wenja thala che saba dunte nyere be ngaro ne che ra be me da dunge da tung dang me to go bamang and so forth. Meaning that he said all the sufferings that we see in the samsara comes out from the enemy, the self-grasping. It's an affliction, harm coming from the enemy, self-grasping. Therefore, everybody who wants genuine liberation and freedom, all degrees and kinds of freedom, whichever kind of freedom you want, so everybody who wants freedom or liberation from that must endeavor to uproot their self-grasping. Then he says, but still, before you are qualified or before you understand this subtle self-grasping, the enemy, to be eliminated, it's important to undertake your practice stage by stage, from the grosser level to the subtle level. That you should start from the grosser level of impermanence, be it impermanence of body or feeling or mind or whatever. Extremely gross things, you start from there. And then grosser meaning of selflessness and so forth. And this is important because many of these grosser levels of changes, impermanence, death, and so forth are happening all the time, but we turn a blind eye. That is why many teachers, they say, we have eye, but don't see. In other words, those things which must be seen, we don't see. Those things we should not be seeing, we see. And then he gives example by saying, na genshu meba lubur tu chen tu me chewa thon chen do rang chen nyam loya me je na lam thobu tokwa khala ki. And he said, we have all seen young people dying, people with middle age dying, elderly people dying like that. Not being sick for a long time, not just that. We see so many people dying like that. Somebody was there in the morning playing and the evening gone. And these days, it's not difficult to know that. If you read the obituary part in all the newspapers, like you'll see the pictures of young people, old people, It's always. But we have become almost like immune to these things, And we are living in such a funny world today that death doesn't scare anybody. Really looks like. Because you see so many death, so many killing, you become immune. Waterproof. So it's important to develop some kind of sensitivity. Because at the core of your being, you also don't want to die. And it's so interesting to see people who are really, really in a miserable situation. No place, no proper house to live, no proper food to eat, no proper clothes to wear, and moreover physically sick. If you go to big cities like Delhi, people among the beggars, you see some. Sometimes you wonder why he wants to live. Such a difficult situation, but still people want to live. Even with one leg, they move all around just to get few coins. So there is this wish and urge to live. It's inborn quality. So this being the case, it's important to appreciate the living, the life that we are enjoying right now. So that is the purpose of this meditation on mindfulness. Be mindful that you're alive and kicking, as we say. You're alive, and with that delight of being alive and kicking, make the best use of this special human life. That is the purpose. That's what we are driving at. We are not simply saying, oh, your body is filthy, or your mind is crooked, you're hopeless, We are not saying, this is not the target. The target is you simply just accept the reality as it is. Then it will be the most transformative way of your practice. If you see, accept your reality, see how fragile it is, how impermanent it is, how fleeting it is, and how many causes of disease and illnesses are there. In the Tsongkhapa's Great Stages of the Path, he mentions 9 major factors for the causes of death. Like even the food, which is for sustaining, if you overeat, becomes cause of death. If you eat too little, becomes cause of death. So there are so many causes for death and not many causes for living. So when you realize this, then you realize that, thank God, I am still alive. Not only alive, but I have certain facilities at my disposal. Not every human being or everybody has that facility, and we have that. So it's important to appreciate and recognize the great opportunity that we have at our disposal. And I, during my talks in different places, I always tell people that there are many reasons to be happy. You should be happy. You have so many wonderful things. And when I say this, people normally, immediately they measure what they have in terms of accumulation of wealth. And among the listeners, some of even, go to the extent of saying that, Geshe-la, I have nothing to be happy about. I'm a poor woman or man, I have not much money, not much wealth. So immediately they measure in terms of how much money they have, how much wealth they have. But what I'm saying is not that one. What I'm saying is that you are still a human being. You are not a dog, you are not a cow. Human being which has such wonderful intelligence and so many facilities at our disposal. Not only a human being, but a human being with both the eyes intact, both the hands intact, both the legs intact. That should be the greatest source of your happiness. Imagine, you will realize that only if you lose one of your hand. As and when you lose one of your hand or one leg or eye, then you pray and wish, how nice if I have both eyes, I can do this, do that. How nice if I have both hands, I can do this, do that. But those of us who have it, we remain as if we have none of this. We have a hand, but normally it is used for bad things, not for helping. And His Holiness Dalai Lama says, even if you look and study your physical structure, the hand is made in such a way, the hand with the long arms is good for embracing, bringing friends together, not for eating. And if it's not just His Holiness, I've seen writings of many other thinkers saying the same thing. So human beings are basically non-violent nature, with teeth which is not good enough to catch animals and kill, with nails not good enough, not strong enough to catch animals and kill, It's only by using human intelligence we somehow do all those things. But we are not equipped like tigers or lions or snakes and things like that, right? So the hand, if you look at the structure, the long arm with the fingers, good for hugging, good for embracing, not for hitting. If it is for hitting, then His Holiness says it should come as a lump, like an iron ball, good for hitting. Then the teeth, smiling. Eye also more like deer, not like snake. So there's so many features. If you study the features, you can see that non-violent feature, non-violent nature, the capacity to do the best. But the problem is, if we don't train our mind, as I said earlier, the mind itself is wonderful, but it's just a potential. It's like nuclear energy. So the question is, where are you going to use this energy? So to be able to use that mental energy in a productive, effective way, we need to train. We need to study. We need to transform our attitude by using our human reasoning, mental capacity. So that's why we need to talk, we need to reflect, what is the truth, what is the reality, what's the benefit, what is the disadvantage. We need to, it is through education, through knowledge, people can change, people can get transformed. And that's very clear. So therefore we are here talking, you see. So therefore, it's important to, as I said yesterday also, it's important to be happy all the time. It is not just saying be happy, no. There are reasons to be happy, as I already said. 2 hands intact, 2 eyes intact, all the necessary physical structures are there to be happy, you see. Then in our case, for example, right now we are not living in a war zone. Even among human beings, there are many who always have to live between cross firing. There are people whose houses and places are always flooded. I mean, we don't have to go outside. In India also, many places, every year flooded. Many because of natural disaster, many because of negligence of the people, the administration. So that's what I was saying yesterday, that in many cases we are suffering unnecessarily because we don't work for other people. We only work for money, you see. Right? So therefore, the purpose of this kind of study is to be able to live a life, however long it is. It is not important that you live a long life, but it's important that you live a good life. So however, long you live, 1 month, 10 months, 10 years, whatever. So during this life, you live your life in such a way that you become a source of happiness and peace for many people. Of course, you will fail repeatedly. You cannot be good all the time. You cannot succeed all the time. But try hard so that most of the time you are calm, peaceful, being helpful to others. Because if you really, honestly speaking, it's not just Buddhist teachings talking, but if you look honestly, as I think it was 7th Dalai Lama, and he's a very good, not only good teacher, but a very good writer, great poet. And he says, Thome chajun pomo sundala te jangs, chaluk namjur podop chejung samado, dugi misi cheva nyam to duwes, ke nyam tokji namji nangsu di jowa. He says, you look at people, those who are high up or down, you look at men, you look at women, you look at the monks, you look at the lay people, to whomever you look at. The only difference is their costume, clothes. Women wear differently, lay people wear differently, monks and nuns wear differently. So the costumes are different. Chalu, namjur, then their way of expression is slightly different. Potop chejung, and then in terms of haughtiness, some are very proud, some are less proud, some difference like that. Mato, dugi misi cheva nyam nyam dugi, but underneath all are kind of suffering. They may or may not recognize it, but underneath there is suffering. So long as you are within this samsara, who you are rich or powerful or whatever, healthy, wealthy, whatever, you are not beyond suffering. So we are all under that current of suffering. Dugi misi cheva nyam nyam dugi. Alas, kenyam tokji nam jinang sundu cheva. Alas, this plight of the fellow human beings who are of same state like me, same fortune like me. See? Beautiful. So when you look at that, and His Holiness Dalai Lama says, first of all, it's very difficult for us to feel for others and develop compassion. Even when we develop it to some who are really poor a little bit. But as and when we see those who are equal to us, and especially those who are higher up in terms of wealth, name and fame, then there's no trace of compassion from us for these people. Instead, we'll feel jealous. Or instead, we will feel, how nice if I'm also like that Hollywood actor or actress. how nice if I'm also like that famous politician, you know. There's no trace of compassion for these people. And His Holiness, honestly speaking, these people who are puffed up with status and success and so forth, they are more object of compassion than those lowly ones. Because those people who are low and who are already fallen, they have comparatively probably less arrogance. They cannot be arrogant because they have nothing. Probably less competition also, less ill will also. And they are satisfied with small things, you know. Really, majority of the people, you have seen, I have seen, so we meet so many people, they just live on meager food and hard work, and then happy with that, with their, whatever be the situation. They hardly have anything in terms of house and other facilities, but they're always smiling. Like the people who are working, constructors, they don't have much, they're poor people, but most of the time you will see them smiling. But those people who are a little bit higher up, not much smile. More competition, more manipulation. I mean, look at the whole world, you see. The unfortunate situations that is created, that we are suffering today, is primarily creation of people who are in the higher circle, who is supposed to be educated. Yes, education they have a little bit, but they use this education, as I said, education or intelligence in the wrong way. Very poor people, they suffer, but they can't create, or they don't create much suffering on other people, you see. So those people who have a power and misuse their little knowledge, they create suffering. So that's why, number one, we need good education, that education also right education, which really creates that feeling for other people, creates that sense of responsibility for other people. So harmonious development of head and heart, that means good heart. The good heart should not be a stupid heart. Compassion, good heart means compassion, loving kindness. If that compassion and loving kindness is not based on knowledge, then you will be exploited by other people, especially in today's world. If you say compassion, love, you know, sit there and try to help other, you know, without that precise understanding of the situation, they will take advantage of you. So that's why in Buddhism we say you should have compassion and love based on knowledge. You should know when to help, to whom to help, how to help, everything. It's not that you say, I have compassion, then you go everywhere like a stupid fellow, you know. Then you get the problem. That's why many people now today, you know, they suffer from what they call as compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue. And also emotional burnout. They work a little bit and then after that they get completely tired. I mean, it's understandable. It's not easy to help, especially in very, very difficult situations. Right? So therefore, for all these relations of helping other, helping oneself, we need to have a holistic. There is not just one solution. There is no push button enlightenment. We need to have a holistic picture. Right? So that's why we need this kind of training. When we talk about realizing the lack of independent existence of every phenomena, it's talking about creating a holistic viewpoint. Because when we talk about emptiness, emptiness is not just your nature, not just my nature, it's nature of everything. Right? So therefore we are studying on this. So let us discuss a little bit about the process of meditation, first of all on the mindfulness of body. Now, as I cited this verse from Kongtang Tenpa Dome, that the source of all the problems and difficulties is self-grasping. And that self-grasping also arises by developing grasping to your body, because that is what is right, you know, directly visible to us. Grasping to your feeling, grasping to your mind, and so forth. So therefore, we first of all discuss about meditation on the body, or maintaining mindfulness on the body. So now in the case of the body, to which you develop so much grasping, so much obsession, right? And you do need to take so much care about this body. I mean, these days when it's cold, you know, we really have to wear so many layers of cloth. And then the food, everything you need to take very, very special care. That's fine if you do it on the conventional level. But if you do it with grasping, with the perception that there is a body, very special body, which is permanent, partless, independently existing, nobody can see it, nobody can touch it, nobody can say any ugly thing to it, a very special person, then you are going into trouble. Like if you look at this, the body, it is compared to the bursting of a blister or bursting of a bubble, whatever. The bubble, the water bubble that you see on the water, what essence is there? It comes for 1 minute and then bursts out the next minute. So body is compared to that. Right? Body is compared to that. How will you understand that? It's very easy to understand if you make a little bit attempt. And I've been thinking something for a long time. If anybody wants to cooperate, please cooperate. But I have this tendency to have some vision and then I get busy and then never able to implement it. Like to explain this impermanence of the body, now today through the scientific findings, technological application, we can turn the body inside out and see each and everything. How the lungs are functioning, how the heart is functioning, How many times the heart has to beat during your whole life. There is counting, there is a number, I don't remember the number, but there is a counting. And then how the circulation of the blood is done through your breathing. How each and every cell needs that air or that blood to remain alive. Now everything is now explained in detail through scientific finding if you study biology, especially human biology. There is human biology, there is physiology, then there is anatomy, and then there is a study of dermatology, study of the skin and so forth, So each and every part is so precisely studied. So you can just read that. Within the Buddhist literature, at least I have seen one quite lengthy discussion, written by stages, is like meditation on the body, written by, I think, Kamalishila. So which even talks about the number of hairs on your head and the pores of your body and things like that. Then how many parts of bones are there in your body. All these are mentioned there for your meditation, for your reflection. So easily we can do that. So if you make a movie, you don't have to even make a movie, It's already there are a lot of nice movies, documentaries on human body and especially the internal organs. So you look and study that, then you will see how long do you think you will last unless you take care of yourself. So benefit of such a study is not to unnecessarily scare you that you are filthy, you are fragile, you are good. It's not saying that, but what it is saying is you are fragile, therefore take care. You are fragile, you may not last very long. So while you are alive, make the best use of it. That's what it is saying. In terms of the nature of the body itself, there may not be much essence, but the work that you can do can be great. Can be great. So there will be an awakening by understanding this. So this we can do now by showing many of these documentaries on the body. It will be very, very helpful. It's really amazing. And Nagarjuna, in his letter to the friend, he says, the fact that you go to bed and sleep and being able to wake up the next morning is magic and mystery. After all, the demarcation between life and death is just this breath. If you breathe out, you cannot breathe in. That's it. I'm not trying to scare you, but that's the reality, you see. Now forget about spiritual practice. We are unable to even take care of one's body. Heaven knows what kind of food we throw into our mouth. Very, very destructive for the body food that is available in the market, We throw everything because we don't know the reality, what is there. You think, it's a big machine, whatever you throw, it will just deal with it. That's not the case. Because the inside is so fragile, so vulnerable, you have to be very careful. Even in terms of exercise, you just can't pull yourself in all the directions with great force, because again, it's very fragile, but we don't see that, you see. So therefore, it is important to see that this body, as I said, is a collection of so many parts. And if you take away each of these individual parts, nothing special called body is left that is having inherent independent existence. Like year, 1 year, when we say 1 year is made up of 12 months. First month is not the whole year. Second month is also not the whole year. Through combination of all the 12 months, then you call it year. But that collection itself is also not just year, you see. So what we are saying is really, it's more or less like a designation. It's funny and interesting how things work. It's just designation. This we call microphone, right? Right now, no problem. Somebody called it microphone, we all accept it. Bring the microphone, everybody bring it, no problem. But suddenly if I say I'm going to talk through the elephant, then you will all laugh, because we have not labeled this microphone as elephant. But right in the beginning, if it has been labeled as elephant, then why not elephant? So from there you can clearly see it's just designation. Somebody becomes Ritu, somebody becomes Tinjin, somebody becomes Mike, whatever. It's just designation. And it functions. Only on that level. Without being satisfied that level, that designation, if you try to go deep and really find out where is Ritu, something that you can lay your hands upon and then say, this is the essence, the real Ritu. Thinkers and scholars have searched for that ages. It's amazing, you see. So the point is, when you see in this way, then if it is just a designation, why should I pay too much? Why should I get so obsessed with it? It's this obsession which is bringing the problem. It's that grasping, the tight holding, which is suffocating you. Right? So relax that tight grasping through the understanding that it's all just designation on a heap of things. Is that easy? Because we always thought, I'm there from somewhere. It hurts, that feeling, you see, that ordinary conception. And it has to be hard, because that is misconception. That's misconception, you see. So therefore, when you look at the different parts, from there you will find, in other words, the body, the whole, which possessed many parts, that body itself has no inherent independent existence. And likewise, if you go to the individual parts of the body, the hand and leg, the hand is also a combination of many things, fingers. Finger also is a combination of many joints. Joints also a combination of many things. So in this way, if you go to the subtlest particle, it's all component of so many different things. So apart from these combinations, components, you cannot find a person or a body as something separate. So where is the object for obsession? Where is the object for grasping? And especially in today's, like through scientific instrument, if you look at your body, like your hand, if you look here, right now to our ordinary eye, it looks okay. But if you look through a very powerful microscope, number one, you will see it has like mountains and valleys. Yeah, right? And if you still use even more powerful microscope, then you don't see this concrete part. It will be just like a bubbling energy. And this we can see today. So it's amazing. How could Buddha figure that out and said that the body is like a bubble? It's a blister. Now we can see it through scientific instrument. So where is the object that you have developed so much grasping? And what is the worth of it? Now that does not mean to say, as again, it is important to come back. That does not mean to say that because you don't have inherent independent existence, therefore you are worthless. No. No. That's exactly famous there. Lune datar thomu ye tetan na desungcha. Timden yuning so one tile sonam chemotop. So in this way, as we'll read in the text also, it says, so in this way when you look, you will find that this body will, at the end of the day, will be like an enemy to you. Because you have to serve this body so much, feeding it, working so hard for it, spending sleepless nights, right? All for the body. Survival means survival of the body. So from that parlance, it is really like an enemy which makes you work so hard. Although you see that body like an enemy, but still you must protect it, because a person with ethical discipline, a person with morality, if that person lives alone, he will be able to collect a lot of virtues. He will be able to do many good things. He will be able to collect great merits. And therefore, the most important thing that we need to do in our life is to cultivate a proper mind, a virtuous mind. So therefore, again, Nagarjuna in his letter to the friend, he says, Simne sadhan chudna dovala remotivatindaric. That means, in terms of dealing with your mind, how it functions, it should be of three different types. One is like writing on earth, ground. Another will be like carving on stone. Another will be like writing on water. Now when it comes to doing positive practices, good things, then it should be like a carving on stone. Even if the stone breaks, the carving will be there. It should be long lasting. If that is not possible, at least it should be writing on the ground, not like writing on water, because as soon as you write on the water, it disappears. When it comes to the negative emotions, it should be like writing on water. As I said, we do get angry, but never develop resentment, ill will. You get angry, that's it. Then don't think about revenging or ill will to that person or that environment which is the source of problem. Right? Because if you develop resentment and ill will, it will only consume you, not the enemy, not the wrongdoer. It will only destroy you. So therefore, seeing the fragility, vulnerability of people of all statures, we should live a life to be of benefit to them. And in order to do that, you need to understand yourself. You need to understand your mind and cultivate in such a way so that you are able to remain stable and calm in all ups and downs in life. You get good news today, okay, happy, but don't get too excited, don't burst out, because bad news is waiting. If you get bad news, yes, you will feel sad, but don't get too dejected, good news is also coming. It's like Dharamsala's sunshine and rain, you see. It's not always raining, it's not always sunshine, you see. So the purpose of such spiritual practice is that you are able to, fare well through ups and downs in life. Okay? So therefore, whether you examine the body itself or you examine the parts of the body, you will not find any part of the body having inherent in existence. Okay? So therefore, we discussed a little bit about breathing as a preparation, and then regarding this practice of mindfulness of the body, it says you should always be mindful, whatever be the situation. For example, the four postures. Four postures means if you are walking, you should understand you are walking. Because when you are walking, if you don't remember you are walking, you might trip. That is what we do all the time. You see, when you are walking, pay attention where you are walking. And Shantideva explains this again very beautifully in his Bodhisattva, that you just see the road ahead, the path ahead, and make sure there is no risk, no danger, And occasionally you can take rest and look back what is happening, but otherwise you concentrate, right? So there should be mindfulness in walking. If you are standing, mindfulness. Sitting, mindfulness. Lying down, mindfulness. If you are going forward, remember you are going forward. If you are returning, remember that you are returning. I mean, it's important. Like, for example, if you are returning, if you remember that you are returning, there may be certain things you need to prepare. If you are moving forward, there may be certain things that you need to prepare. But if you are mindful, you will remember all that. But if you don't remember, then you just go. Then after that, I forgot something. Then you have to go back 2 kilometers again, you see. That's what we do all the time. So preparation, as planning, as I said yesterday. Okay. And then with clear comprehension when looking ahead, looking away, when bending, stretching, like when bending, or if you are carrying a load, whether you can carry that load or not. If you just try to carry it, even if you don't have the capacity, you will break your backbone. And many people do that, you see. So be mindful. And in the case of wearing clothes, in the case of the monks, wearing his robes and carrying his outer robe and bowl, and when eating, drinking, chewing and tasting, then you will enjoy if you are mindful. If you are not mindful, you are eating but you are not eating. You are eating but not eating. As I said, we are seeing but not seeing. Right? When defecating, urinating, whatever. When talking, when asleep, when waking up, when keeping silent, in all these states you should be mindful. Then also mindfulness of the unattractiveness of the body. So this is interesting, I'll just read it. Again, monks, a monk reviews the same body up from the soles of the feet and down from the top of the hair. If you look from the top of the head down to the sole of the feet, what you will find is, in this body there are head hairs, body hairs, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bones, bone marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, diaphragm, spleen, lungs, intestines, mesentery, stomach, feces, bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, grease, spittle, snot, oil of the joints, and urine. So just as though they were a bag with an opening at both ends. There's opening up, opening down. Just like a bag with 2 openings. Just like a bag with an opening at both ends, full of many sorts of grain, such as hill rice, red rice, beans, peas, millet, white rice. And the men with good eyes were to open it and review it thus. So review everything. Just like somebody with good eyesight checks all these different kind of rices that's there in the bag. So similarly, just review it. And you should be able to say, this is hill rice, this is red rice, these are beans, these are peas, this is millet, this is white rice. Once His Holiness was attending a meeting with some scientists, and they were talking about the universe and so many big things. And then His Holiness said, it's wonderful, wonderful. But the real mystery is here. Where not many were talking or not paying much attention. So normally oneself it's interesting, oneself is the most forgotten thing. Oneself is the most forgotten thing. So it's important to know about human being itself, oneself. so that you will be able to take good care of it, make good use of it. So too, among reviews, the same body is full of many kinds of impurity. Thus, in this body there are head hairs and so forth, urine and so forth. So in this way, he dwells contemplating the body in the body, internally, externally, both internally, externally, and so forth. And he dwells independent. Dwells independent means he sees things as it is. Okay? Not clinging to anything in the world. Not clinging. This is not easy, of course. We are so habituated with clinging. Whatever seems to be desirable and so forth. Clinging basically means getting stuck. That's the problem, you see. Again, I remember that quotation from Nagarjuna's letter to the friend, where he says, Lucho namlang gowa chinyi ba tesu ye dungil tinyi tos yowa. He gives the example by saying, if you take the example of the Naga king, that basically we can think of it as a snake, Naga kind of snake. So the Naga king is said to possess many heads. The ordinary Naga's just one head. So ordinarily the Naga king looks grand, he has so many heads. But the problem is, the more head you have, the more you are susceptible to suffering. Because today this head is healthy, this head is bleeding. These two heads are fine, but the middle one is hard. So similarly, ordinarily we think, oh, I am so good, I have so much wealth, so much money, so much, relatives and so forth. But it's like the Naga king's head. The more you have, the more you are prone to problems and difficulties. Today I am okay, but my brother is suffering. Today I am okay, my brother is okay, but sister is not okay. You see? So it's like nothing comes value free. You see? Not clinging to anything in the world. When you cling, means you're getting stuck. You're getting stuck. And that's what this famous Saint Milarepa did in his practice. He gave up everything. He gave up everything, and he meditated in a completely empty cave, which of course most of us, I'm not asking that you do it or will not be able to do it, also difficult. But in the case of Milarepa, he always meditated in an empty cave. There was nothing in that. And one night a thief came, hoping to find something. Milarepa was in the darkness, meditating. When he found that a thief was groping and trying to find something, he said, what do you hope to get in the pitch black night when I don't get anything in the broad daylight? And I have myself seen, not far from here in Dalhousie, some senior real Tibetan meditators, 5 of them, who are immediate disciples of Tihor Kyurpo Rinpoche, whose name you have not heard. He was called as the modern Milarepa. Great scholar, practitioner. He, escaped from Tibet and then stayed in Dalhousie, where he started giving teaching, and he had some students. One Gilik I remember still, his brother. So once somebody wanted to help them. They are great practitioners, meditators, so I'm going to give some money, a Westerner. So I went there as a translator. I was a student then. So I saw them. You won't believe your eyes. I've seen it. Nothing whatsoever. I mean, in the sense that, of course, they have a cloth too. That's, all really like rags, all torn out cloth. And then stone piles, that's their house, and then a canvas, top and something like that. Then this lady, at that time it's a lot of money, 100 rupees each. Except one, the other 4 did not take that. So what I have to do with this paper? I may be gone tomorrow. Even when the food is offered, if it is ready to eat and bring right the time, then they eat it. Otherwise, if uncooked food is given, then they'll just ignore it. So that is only few exceptional people can do that kind of sacrifice, and we are will not be able to do it. One or two maybe, but normally not possible. But as His Holiness Dalai Lama says, 50-50. That means 50% for this life, for your food, for your sustenance, but at least 50% for more important spiritual practices, not only just for yourself, but for many people, because the world is suffering not so much due to shortage of material facilities, but primarily from spiritual poverty, poverty of the mind, greed, as I said earlier. So you can do a lot of service to those people. And how you can do? You don't think that you have to become a famous teacher, things like that. Just through knowledge you can share. And I give you this example of a Western nun who once came to me and she said, Geshe-la, I have been here for a long time, I'm not making any improvement. So what should I do? I said, go back to your country. And then I don't know how much was the time when she came back. One day she came back and said, Geshe-la, thank you. I said, what? When I said, I'm not making much progress, you said, go back to your country. First I thought that was very blunt, but now I have realized the meaning. And so what was the meaning? Because I don't think I said it with a great meaning or anything like that. But she said the meaning is that when you are here in Dharamsala with many other practitioners or people who talk about these things, you don't see much progress or relevance of yourself. But when she went back to her country, she was able to clearly see how people are stupidly wasting their life. Many things she was able to clearly see that they should not be doing, but they are doing. And she was able to help many people like that. You see? So there is need. There is a need. So don't feel that we are insignificant, useless, and things like that. It's not just teaching. There's so much opportunity to do a little bit of service, right? So therefore, knowledge is important, because knowledge is not just information. To quote somebody, knowledge is not just information, but knowledge is what colors your emotion, what moves your whole being, what makes you get up, go and do things for others. If you have the real knowledge, that is a product of hearing, thinking and meditation. Not just hearing, not just thinking, but through personal practice, meditation. If you have that feeling, for example, compassion, then you will be automatically compelled to do something for other people. That will come automatically, just like His Holiness Dalai Lama. He is like 81, over 81. Still traveling throughout the world. And I've seen him many times that when he gives a very strenuous teaching like Kala Chakra, or any other major teaching which lasts earlier days, sometimes 2-3 weeks. So it's very tiring for us actually, even for listeners it's very tiring. But I've seen him, His Holiness, as and when he finishes the teaching, he's like more energized. He's then laughing, there's so much sense of satisfaction and happiness, because His Holiness is now happy that yes, I'm able to do some benefit to other people, you see. So that's why in Buddhist practice also, when we talk about the 6 perfections, one of the perfections is called effort. Effort is not just working hard. Effort means delighting in what you do. So if you have that appreciation and joy and delighting, for example, we can have that. For example, the dogs, there's so many dogs around. It's impossible for them to understand even one word that we are talking about. We have this opportunity, capacity to do it. Then among the whole human population, how many people are there who can afford to spend time for this kind of things, you see? Many will say, oh, you're wasting time, let us go for a movie, Yeah, that's how people see things, you see. So it's a rare privilege, rare opportunity. And this is the way we collect merit. It's not just going to a temple. This is the way we prepare our fortune, you see, prepare our life. And the impact will be there. Impact will be there, right? So it's very, very important, extremely important, okay? And then with the body also, if you look at the elements of the body, if the body is made up of the 4 or 5 elements. In this body there are the earth element, the water element, the fire element, and the air element. So this, now if you look at these 4 elements that is within this body, these 4 elements are enemies, sworn enemies. It's only when these 4 elements are balanced, then we say I'm healthy. Yes, and when there's slight disruption of that balance, if the heat element is a little bit more, the fire element a little bit more, you will be sick, suffering from fever. You see? Satan jungma mambu migu dan chense dame phumbo nang lungdung du son so la hapsha jebe chongje du du so chubur da nang so de kyawas. Again the from the writings of the 7th Dalai Lama. Satan jungma mambu migu the chense, that means these elements that's there, like heat and cold, that's there within us, is really like a group of horrible animals together. When these animals like tiger, lion, whatever, these 4 or 5, horrible, ferocious animals, when they are together, but their power is equal, then they will just snarl at each other, but not being able to pounce upon each other, So that's called balance. As and one of them becomes weak and one of them really become powerful, they will just jump on that other one and kill it. So that is our life. So that's why I was saying that even in terms of taking the food, you need to take food inside. The balanced diet, as we say, is very important from their point of view. And then the elements, they are sustained by the external elements. Now the external elements, which is the source of food, which is the source of medicine, if these external elements are polluted, environmental degradation, Delhi mein pollution, dekho. Beijing, Delhi, many big cities, so much polluted. I was surprised that, I think it was yesterday, somewhere BBC I was watching. Even in Mongolia, they were now, people were like making slogans against the population, the pollution. I was quite shocked actually. I visited Mongolia a few times. It's almost in the wilderness, so used to be so pure and clean. Now they're talking about pollution. Imagine. So from that kind of external element, how can you get that sustenance? You see? So that's why we need to protect the environment and so forth, because there's very close relation. And then if you look at the Tibetan system of medicine, when one of the elements become weak, then you take that medicine which nourishes, which strengthens that element. Now imagine that medicine itself is polluted and contaminated. How can it sustain it, you see? So see this really web of interconnection between the internal and the external with other people and so forth. So the body is fragile from that sense also. Then he says, meditation on the 9 charnel ground. 9 charnel ground means if you are developing too much attachment to your body, then you see your body as if it is like a dead body. Again, monks, as though he were to see a corpse thrown aside in the charnel ground, 1, 2, or 3 days dead, bloated, livid, oozing matter, a monk compares his same body with dust. In Thailand, there is a tradition of keeping the dead bodies in the vicinity of the monastery. A dead body of 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and then the rotten, then the just skeleton, even the skeletons falling out. So the monks intentionally go there and meditate. Right? So our body is also not so much different from that. Okay? This is to reduce attachment. Again, not to discourage you, but to encourage you, actually. Okay? And then again, you can, as though he were to see a corpse thrown aside in the charnel ground, being devoured by crows, hawks, vultures, dogs, jackals, or various kinds of worms and so on. And Shantideva says, when your body, after you are dead, when your body is like, You don't care who is eating your body. So why you care so much now? The same body. Again, as though he were to see a corpse thrown aside in the charnel ground, a skeleton with flesh and blood, held together with sinews, a fleshless skeleton smeared with blood, held together with sinews, a skeleton without flesh and blood, held together with sinews, disconnected bones scattered in all directions, here a hand bone, there a foot bone, here a shin bone, there a thigh bone, here a hip bone, there a backbone, here the skull, and things like that. Right? To reduce attachment. So forth. So there's no need to read all of them. You got the hint, okay? Then contemplating meditation on the feeling. We'll not be able to cover all the points. Now in the case of feeling, there are three types of feeling. Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. Now ordinarily when you get a pleasant feeling, then you develop desire. You want to have that pleasant feeling again and again. So that pleasant or pleasurable feeling is the source of all the desires. And the desire leads to greed, grasping. Right? Grasping. So it's very, very dangerous actually. As I said earlier, the fact that we don't get much time to rest, running because of desire, because there is no contentment. So therefore we have this tendency that you always want to have this pleasant feeling and you don't want any kind of unpleasant feeling. And you fear that there will be an unpleasant feeling. What will happen to me? You see. And then if it is a neutral feeling, then you don't care. You don't pay attention to it, which again becomes a source for developing ignorance, confusion. So you should be mindful of all the pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, neutral feelings. And the advantage of doing that is, now again the main point here is, just like in the case of the body, in the case of the feeling also, there is no feeling that is inherent independent existence. We are developing, when we develop feeling, we act as if there is an inherently independently existing feeling, especially in the case of experiencing enjoyable feeling. Then you think, oh, I have to have this enjoyable feeling continuously, forever. You expect that, but it's impossible because there is no feeling, pleasurable feeling or pleasant feeling, which is inherent, independent. And because of this wrong notion or misconception, you run after that source of pleasant feeling and get into all kind of troubles. So therefore the text says, if you are somebody who has this kind of understanding, then as and when you see somebody enjoying something, immediately you develop compassion. With the fact that in my case, at least because of the teaching, the teacher and my own study and so forth, I am also enjoying that pleasure of feeling, but I am not grasping. This will not become a source of great problem and difficulty for me. But this fellow, he's now stuck there, you see. And this point is very beautifully explained in Abhidharma with 5 examples. When you develop that desire to the sensual objects, out of the 5 sensual objects, even if you develop strong desire to one sensual object, you will get into big problem. And he gives the example of, like, say, for example, the fish. It develops that very strong grasping to the sensual object of that small bait, meat that is put on the hook for catching the fish. So that the fish goes there and he's caught and thrown out of the river and he dies. Similarly, take the example of the butterfly. Because it's so much attached to the form, the flame, probably thinking it is a palace or whatever, This is a very interesting place to go. He goes there and burns himself. Just one object, form. Then sound. It is said that some wild animals like deers, they're very fond of music. So some of the hunters, they play some nice music while having laid a trap somewhere. So they come with their raised ears towards their direction, and then they get caught and killed. And then touch. Elephant is said to be very fond of touch. If you massage and touch the body, he'll just lie down. And then he's again chained and slept. And then smell. Makhi dekho, makhi, flies. Because they're so engrossed with that smell, wherever there's a dirt, they go there and then their feet stuck there and they die. So you can get into so much problem even if you have very strong desire to one of these sensual objects. Now in the case of most of human beings, we have strong desire towards all the 5 sensual objects. Not only that, we are trying to fill that desire. The business people, they are trying to ignite and fuel your sensual desire. Look at the malls with 5 stories. Exactly there. I was actually kind of shocked or surprised when I visited a mall. As it's explained in the Abhidharma, it's really there. One floor is, normally the first floor, in the West, the first floor is scents, smell. How much money you spend, this scent is made from this flower, that flower, and people just spend so much money and you get entrapped. The second, go to the second floor, cloth, touch, right? Pant, shirt, whatever. I'm not exaggerating, you go, it's there. And then third, let us say restaurants, taste, Japanese food, Chinese food, American food. Fourth, form, televisions. Sixth, music, Japanese music, Chinese music, it's all there in the mall, which has been explained in those texts so long ago. So not only we have yuni never na kare sikki chata tamas. Sushi mai yiji ne nyomo jun sawo se joba. The yuni never dikung de kare sik. Meme dikung sigang chigarwa. Anyway, in the Abhidharma there's a saying which says the object for developing negative emotions are there all the time. And the improper mental attitude is also there. So the causes for developing the afflictive emotions are all the time there. And especially in today's world, we are feeling, encouraging the negative emotions. If you watch one of the movies, it will become so clear to you that the main theme of a movie is either violence or sex. If these 2 things are not there, then the movie is more or less lackluster. Clearly showing how much we are not only into the problem of these things, but how much we are fueling it further. You see? So therefore, again, this is the reason that we need to be extra careful in which direction to see and find out in which direction are we going. Is it really useful? Good for the long, to oneself, to others, or bad? We have to think. Nobody is saying you follow Buddhism or anything like that, but it's our really responsibility to, as a thinking, living, intelligent human being. We call ourselves intelligent human being. And if you are really intelligent in the true sense of the term, then we need to really think in which direction we are going. Is it good for me, good for other people? Or if you are parents, then what are you going to leave for your children? You may be gone, but what are you going to leave for your children? Some toys and a concrete building? Is that all? What are you going to really leave for them so that they are able to take care of themselves? Because unfortunately today in the modern world, a developed country means a place where there are many high-rise buildings and with nicely paved pathway in between and many cars are running. Wow, so developed. And people who are living in these high-rise buildings may be suffering from depression, loneliness. You see? So I'm not trying to paint a bleak picture, but I'm simply saying we all have a responsibility to contribute something for the happiness and peace and betterment of everybody, right? Okay, thank you.